The madness surrounding Iron Mike Tyson's reign was never limited to the ring. It was a storm that followed him everywhere, fueled by men who mistook bravery for suicide and arrogance for destiny. Time after time, deranged challengers stepped forward, screaming threats into microphones, pounding their chests, and vowing to end the legend. But each of them, without understanding it, walked willingly into the jaws of a predator who did not bluff, did not negotiate, and did not forgive disrespect. When they opened their mouths, they sealed their fates. When they raised their voices, they invited destruction. And when they touched their gloves to Tyson's, they entered a zone where only one truth existed. Iron Mike was judge, jury, and executioner. Those who mocked him believed they were carving their names into boxing history. Instead, they carved their names into Tyson's list of victims. Each one an example of what happens when foolish men provoke an apex predator. Mitch Green was the first lunatic bold enough to step across the line. A true street menace, the self-proclaimed warrior, strutted into the boxing world with the swagger of a gang leader and the delusion of a man who believed he was untouchable. Mitch wanted money, respect, and fear, and thought he could take those things from Tyson by humiliating him publicly. He puffed out his chest, threw verbal threats around like grenades, and imagined himself standing over a fallen legend. But the moment he stepped into the ring, reality stripped away the madness. Tyson hunted him like a lion stalking an injured animal, closing the distance with frightening speed, breaking Mitch's confidence with each blow. Tyson's fists carved into him with the cold precision of an artist shaping clay, leaving Green barely recognizable beneath the swelling and bruises. Mike didn't rush. He didn't chase a knockout. He methodically broke the man down over 10 punishing rounds, teaching him a lesson that lived in his bones forever. 2 years later, Mitch made the mistake of carrying that grudge onto the street. He confronted Tyson in a moment of reckless pride, hoping to reclaim his dignity. But street or ring, daylight or darkness, Tyson was always Tyson. One punch turned Green into a shattered mess, sending him spiraling into a hospital bed and eventually into a life of repentance. The transformation from gangster to pastor was not divine intervention. It was the aftershock of a single Tyson blow that changed the man's entire future. Then came Peter McNeely, the self-proclaimed hurricane who brought nothing to the table except a loud mouth and an overflowing bucket of delusion. McNeely talked like a man preparing for a world-ending war, promising annihilation and promising to wrap Tyson in a cocoon of terror. But behind those words was a fighter who had never encountered real danger in the ring. When Tyson emerged from prison, bigger, sharper, and hardened by solitary confinement, McNeely made the fatal mistake of underestimating what a caged animal becomes after being denied the hunt for years. The fight began with McNeely charging forward recklessly, hoping to overwhelm Tyson with chaos. Instead, he was floored within seconds, dropped by a single violent punch that erased his bravado. Getting up was the biggest mistake of his life. Mike smelled blood and struck again with merciless precision, dropping him a second time and forcing McNeil's corner to save him from further destruction. Tyson didn't just win. He reminded the world that prison had sharpened, not softened, his power dot, but nothing compared to the arrogance of Donovan Razor Ruddock. Ruddock believed he was born to beat Tyson. He spoke about fate, destiny, and divine right, and carried himself like a man convinced he could walk through fire without burning. His devastating knockout power made him one of the most feared heavyweights of the early 1990s, and he convinced himself that the Tyson era was coming to an end. To Ruddock, the kings of the division avoided him out of fear, and he saw Tyson as simply another name waiting to fall. Their clash became one of the most violent encounters of the decade. A brutal war where Ruddock momentarily threatened the myth of Tyson's invincibility, but when Tyson absorbed the blows and stepped forward with that familiar cold stare, the tide shifted violently. Mike battered Ruddock with combinations that exploded like dynamite, eventually folding him into the canvas and stripping away the final traces of his arrogance. In that fight, Tyson didn't just win, he domesticated a wild animal who believed he was untamable. Then came Larry Holmes, one of the greatest champions of the previous generation, a man who had beaten legends but carried a shadow he could never escape. Holmes had dismantled Muhammad Ali in the twilight of Ali's career, an act that burned deep in Tyson's memory. Mike worshipped Ali, studied him, idolized him, and never forgave the man who had sent his hero into retirement battered and broken. When Holmes belittled Tyson and dismissed his rise, Tyson did not hear trash talk. He heard an insult carved into the legacy of the man he admired most. When the bell rang, Tyson unleashed 3 rounds of pure retribution. His fists tore through Holmes' defense like blades, breaking the older champion down with frightening ease before dropping him repeatedly in the 4th round. The knockout was devastating, sudden, and absolute. Tyson avenged Ali that night, restoring honor to his idol's name with the most brutal payback imaginable. Tyrell Biggs, the towering Olympic champion, was next in line. Biggs believed his height, reach, and technical skill made him untouchable. He dismissed Tyson as a reckless brawler, convinced he was too smart to be knocked out. But arrogance is always expensive in Tyson's presence. Biggs danced, jabbed, and smirked early on, feeling safe behind his long frame. Yet every second that passed brought Tyson closer. Once Mike found the rhythm, Big's confidence collapsed. Tyson tore him apart with savage hooks and uppercuts, destroying the giant's pride before sending him crashing into unconsciousness. The giant fell, and with him, the illusion that anyone could bully Tyson with words. Frank Bruno, built like a Greek statue and fueled by bravado, came into his fight proclaiming that he would send Tyson into oblivion. But while Bruno's muscles were carved from granite, Tyson's power was forged from suffering. Bruno landed punches, but had no answer for the relentless fury Tyson summoned. When Mike dialed in, Bruno's body betrayed him, collapsing beneath an avalanche of punches that forced his corner to throw in the towel to spare him further torment. And finally, Tony Tucker, the towering titan who had never been knocked down, believed he had found Tyson's weakness. Tucker's size and confidence made him dangerous, but when the battle began, Tyson attacked him with the fiery rage of a man refusing to bow to giants. Tucker struck back hard, shaking Tyson in rare moments, but each taunt only fueled Mike's rage. And by the end, the judges saw what the world saw. No power, no frame, no strategy could strip the crown from Iron Mike Tyson. All these men talked, all these men threatened, all these men believed they were the chosen one. Instead, they became exhibits in Mike Tyson's Museum of Shattered Egos. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the insanity, fury, and absolute dominance of Iron Mike, let us know what shocked you most. Which Tyson moment should we cover next? And who do you think showed the most heart against him? Make sure to like, subscribe, and join us for more dramatic stories from the world of boxing.